The ability to communicate well with women is one of the most crucial skills a guy can master. Not all men are born with the ability to communicate well. Knowing how to approach a girl and start a conversation with her takes practice. Many guys have grown up with phones in their hands and have no idea how to initiate a conversation with a woman in person, a battle that is only going to grow worse before it gets better. Talking to a gorgeous girl may make you uneasy, but with some old-fashioned wisdom, you may not only start and keep a conversation, but you can also learn a lot about yourself in the process. To properly comprehend how this works, it is necessary that we first recognize two primary kinds of communication mostly used in society. The first thing we are going to talk about is indirect communication, which is the predominant mode of communication used by the majority of people. Indirect communication increases the possibility of misunderstanding, but it also decreases the likelihood of upsetting a person. On the other hand, direct communication reduces the chances of a misunderstanding, but it also increases the chance of upsetting someone since it's frank and straightforward. The main point of indirect communication is to express something without really stating it, and it's mostly used as a precaution to keep someone from coming off as harsh. While indirect communication may be quite beneficial in some instances, in many situations, it may do far more harm than good, particularly if you're a man. Consider the last time you were turned down for something. Perhaps it was a girl you really liked, and when you asked her out, she replied something like, "I'm busy, maybe next time." Most of the time, she won't say, "Sorry, I'm not physically attracted to you," but that's basically the reason she said no, and she effectively said no without completely shutting you down. So, how do you directly communicate to avoid getting turned down and be one step ahead of the game? Let's assume you're at a pub and you want to order a drink for a girl. Most men will buy a woman a drink and then passively wait until either she drinks it or gives him her number. That's it. You might try something new to add some spontaneity to the situation. Consider buying her a drink and having the waiter inform her that you did so, as well as telling her where you'd be going next and your intention to invite her to come with you. She'll most likely accept the drink because she's in her own comfort zone, keeping her distance away from you. If you let her know an interesting place you'd go after, she'd most likely go along with you since you gave her the space and time to decide. This is just one example of how you may be spontaneous and provide a ton of value to her right away without coming off as creepy. Simply make use of the resources available around you to come up with something new. One more example. Let's say you and a girl are watching a movie together and she says, "It's cold in there." The girl is indirectly asking you to lend her your jacket for the evening. Don't ask her if she would like to borrow your jacket, simply put it around her. No questions or words whatsoever. Just remember that a leader's style of direct communication is masculine, whereas a woman's style of indirect communication is feminine. Now that we know what indirect communication is, we can see how interacting with a girl is entirely different when using direct communication. Indirect communication is generally a female mode of communication, and it is the default option for most women. On the other hand, direct communication is the polar opposite, and it was the main form of communication for men until the last few decades. However, indirect communication is quickly becoming the default option for many guys nowadays, which may cause problems. So many men do it wrong while conversing with women or even other guys. It's critical to remember that desire is an impulse, so when you speak plainly and forcefully, both girls and guys lose control. You're pressing that small attraction button that most women have in their thoughts when they think of the actor who plays Harvey Specter in the series called Suits. He is quite direct in the way he communicates. He eats his opponents alive, says what he means with reckless abandon. He acts as if everything he says is critical, simply thinking that every word you have to say is important enough to make it so. This is the exact opposite of how most girls interact, yet is the most effective way to communicate with them. The advantages of aggressive direct communication, on the other hand, transcend beyond communicating with women. Speaking directly and strongly will gain you the respect of your peers, particularly from those who communicate mostly through indirect ways. So, how exactly do you communicate directly and take command of every situation? To begin communicating in a straightforward and appealing manner, begin every phrase in which you're asking for anything with the word "I," and use more statements than questions when you express something to someone as if it's a fact. Because of an unspoken rule, so many men in today's culture communicate indirectly. If you've spent much of your life communicating indirectly and weakly, it'll seem strange when you get out there and start doing it, just like riding a bike felt strange at first. However, the fact is that the most courteous way to communicate or manage a problem, yet also the most unappealing way for a man to communicate, is direct. It demonstrates your self-assurance and bravery because you're standing up for something that may be regarded with scorn by others around you. Similarly, You would be attracted to a girl who was formerly extremely overweight as long as she is now at a healthy, beautiful weight. All that counts now is who you are and who you may become. So, since we spend the majority of our time talking, the sooner you can start sounding more like a leader, the sooner women and men will start to view you as one. Girls don't mind if you used to be a shy, insecure man. Direct communication is one of the most crucial characteristics of a dominating guy, since it demonstrates confidence and aggressiveness. When interacting directly with not only women but men, the goal is to be optimistic about whatever it is. You're suggesting through the tone of your voice and choice of words that you're 100% certain that the other person would obey or agree with what you stated. Simply having good expectations from the outset in a particular circumstance increases the likelihood of the situation ending in your favor, and the same is true for negative expectations. I know that you get nervous while talking to a cute girl. However, you must keep in mind that girls don't like nervous guys. In many cases, nervousness causes people to freeze up as soon as they start talking to a girl. Now the question is, how can you stop being nervous? Well, the most effective approach is to start focusing on the girl instead of yourself. Pay attention to what she's saying and how she's feeling. In simple words, you need to figure out who she really is. Your brain cannot focus on two things at the same time, so when you switch your focus from yourself to her, your self-consciousness will disappear. That's all for today's video, and thanks for watching it. If you liked it, make sure you give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And before you leave, make sure you subscribe and don't forget to hit that bell icon so you never miss any updates. We'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay tuned.